Okay, welcome back everyone to another episode of Yoda's Hut. I'm Bill. I go by Yodaman on the boards. And once again, I'm joined for commentary tonight by Derek. Hey Derek, how's it going?
Doing all right?
All right, so we are in the second game of the last round of Swiss from the Star Wars LCG Store Championship held at Gamers Armory in June 2017. I'm on the right playing my Spark deck against Jay, who is playing a Mono Navy deck. So let me run down the deck list again real quick. So I've got my core Spark 8. I've got 2 Last Warrior, 2 May the Force Be With You, 2 Spark of Rebellion, 2 Haunting the Empire. And then for my Flex Pods, I did 1 False Report and 1 Secret of Yavin 4. And Jay's got an interesting Navy build here. He's got 2 Death and Despair, 2 Tarkin Doctrine, 2 Moon Blockade, 2 Endor Entrapment, and 2 Technological Terror. And it looks like we're off and running here. I've got Last Warrior, Haunting the Empire, and Spark out, so no May the Force be with you. And he had 2 Tarkin Doctrines out, and I think Endor Entrapment, if I remember right. I think he just played a Control Room and a Gladiator get started here. So any quick thoughts about our decks? We've obviously seen mine a couple times as I just discarded Bow Rifle.
His is definitely interesting, considering the Navy's always either running Enforce Loyalty or Deploy the Fleet, and he doesn't have either one of them in there.
Yeah.
Not to mention no Chimera either, so he's literally not going for capital ships at all, really.
Yeah.
No defense platform either, which is also kind of a standard. So yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody run 2 moon blockades, at least not since it first came out, when everybody was learning the set.
Yeah. So I played a Guardian and a Children of the Force, and it looked like I used the Children to look at the top card, but didn't hit anything. So now I don't have May the Force be with you out. I do have Spark, but we'll be curious to see how this goes. So, and I am I am sending. Look like I'm going to send in the Children of the Force, see if I can get him to block. So I went after Tarkin Doctrine, and he wanted me to pay 2, which of course I can't. I don't have resources. And then I think at one point I had to clarify for Jay that Tarkin Doctrine was one of those things that had gotten errated. It was limit 1, not limit once anymore. So he let me strike and do 2 damage to one of the Tarkin Doctrines rather than get his Gladiator focused out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's the thing with having, if that he didn't realize that, then he might have had a better objective to keep than a second Tarkin Doctrine that he didn't.
Yeah.
So the the advantage of having 2 of them is you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to trigger it all game long.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like he just, I just passed turn, so the dot went to 3, and he's got another Control Room, which he's paying for the first one. And he used both resources on that. You can kind of see the double X's there. And there is the Executor. So now we've seen both of the Executors in back-to-back games. I said that to him. I said I thought that was awesome, and he did 3 to Spark when it came into play.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he's probably going to blow up my Spark.
Yeah, I'd definitely do it if you could.
Yeah.
Now the Executor, his white icons there, are those both the blast or the guns?
No, it's actually
one of each?
it's 2 black, 2 blast, 2 black guns, one white gun, 1 white blast. So there really isn't going to be any way I could stop this unless I just do what I did and win edge.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So I freed up the Children of the Force using Kanan's concentration. Not that I probably only have a couple cards for edge, but maybe I'm just going to try to suck some out of here if he really wants to win.
If you win edge, he doesn't blow that up.
Right. He's going to blow it up if he wins edge because he'll have 3 blasts. But I think I'm probably thinking maybe I can suck some cards out of his hand here to make it easier if I go in against this Gladiator.
Well, you've got twist. Do you have any twists in your deck? You got at least 1.
Yeah, I have 1, and I put 3 in. I threw that outmaneuver, and I think he won edge though. I couldn't tell exactly what he put in. I thought one of them was a Stormtrooper assault team though, so I wasn't that sad to see that go.
Yeah.
So he blows up Spark. Dow goes to 4, and Jay told me he was going for a very aggro deck here, and actually did a damage to the Executor with the Children of the Force.
Aha!
After he shot the Gladiator. After he shot the Guardian, not Gladiator. So he still got the Guardian there, but that's his only defender right now. So if I could get something going.
Yeah, well, you don't have any attackers either,
Right.
really.
Now, at this point, I
And you,
didn't realize he didn't have Yularen, so I was probably a little nervous. And I just flipped up another Haunt in the Empire, which means I would be locked out of Jedi right now, which is my main affiliation. I've got 5 Jedi sets in there if it wasn't for Last Warrior.
yeah,
Although I think I might have Kanan in my hand, and that will help. If I get Kanan out, then that'll give me some Jedi resources.
yeah, because you don't have to match resources to play Kanan. You can play
Right.
him regardless.
Yeah, and I can play him just with Last Warrior anyway.
Yeah.
So, but Jay's off to a flying start here. Second turn, he blows up an objective. And that
Yeah.
executor is going to probably keep blowing up objectives unless I can get a bunch of tactics to lock it down.
Now, is that executor elite? I know the other one isn't.
Yeah, it is. That one is elite.
I thought it was.
Yeah. It's only got 6 health, but it also only costs 6 and does that 3 damage just when it enters play. And I am.
6 health.
Yeah. Well, it's better than 10. It doesn't have 12 like the Death Star. So.
Yeah, Death Star costs a little more to play. You
Yeah.
don't get it out on turn 2.
No, not usually. I think it'd be awfully hard. Unless you just had the perfect start with all those cheap chuds
Yeah.
and basically had 7 like have all your 2 resource objectives out at the start too.
Well, you'd still need something else on top of that.
Yeah. So let's see what I do here. I said I thought I saw Kanan. I gotta think I'm gonna play Kanan to get that Jedi resource out. I am really thinking here. After the way that first game went, when it said where I thought Jay was going to win, and I was able to. Oh wow! I am playing the Guardian. Oh, I could play Kanan still without that. That's right.
That's what I was saying. You don't have to match resources to play Kanan.
All right, so then I am playing Kanan there. And I'm not sure I should. I think I'm grabbing force cards. I'm not sure it's worth attacking here. I'm going to commit Kanan, try to slow the game down a little bit. And I'm going to commit the Guardian too, I guess, just to kind of force him to have to commit more to the force. And take balance, so the dial should go to 5. Hopefully we'll remember to move it up. Since we missed it last game a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And he had used both his control rooms. He's only got 4 resources. I think he forgot to put.
Does he only have 2? Because there are 2 in the Devastator pod. Aren't there 2 in... does none of the other stuff have control room in it?
Oh, no. Technological Terror has control room. Endor Entrapment has control room.
Yeah, so he's got like 6 of them in the deck.
Yeah. I think he forgot to free up the Executor, too. But I guess the point was, when he used the control rooms, he double focused each one of them.
Oh, yeah, that I know.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying he didn't have any more to play.
No, I meant he only had 4 resources to actually put something out this turn.
Right.
And we did forget to move the dial. It should be at 5 here, so hopefully we'll either catch it or it won't come into play. Since we missed it last time. I flipped the balance token, but I did not flip the dial.
Yeah.
So
unless you got a trick, he's going to do some serious damage to you again here.
Yeah. Well, I can get a shield again. There's 2 for a... I can't tell what that is.
No.
I wonder if it's the Fleet Navigator. Yeah, it is. And there's Tarkin.
That's not good.
No, but the only thing that's good about this is he'd have to use Tarkin's own resource to blank something.
Well, no, just the fact that he's on the table is not good.
No, I know, I understand. But so he's probably going to send Executor in, I would think. I think Last Warrior's got to be your target. Yeah, I mean, I think you go after Last Warrior here. Get the influence off the table. And then see what happens.
Now,
But
what's Lost Warrior ability again? You can't draw if there's specters in play.
correct. You can't draw cards through card effects. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have a Spectre in play, but I don't think there's really anything in his deck that would let him do that anyway.
No, it would be something like a mouse droid that would influence. But
Yep. But the big thing is, you get that off of there. Now, he doesn't know this, but I'm not. The only thing I could flip up that wouldn't give me a Jedi match, which I already have Kanan anyway, would be if I flipped up False Report. So
yeah.
if he blows up Last Warrior, because the other, I've got both Rebel things out already. I've got one Last Warrior out, and I've only got one other one in my deck. My other 5 objectives are all Jedi objectives. So
I think False Report would be bad for you because that Executor would drop in and do 3 more damage.
yeah, it is exactly right. Unless he didn't have the resources to play it, but he would.
He's got a lot on the table. He's
Yeah.
not going to have a problem playing it again.
Right. If he blew something up and flipped up False Report, he'd still have 8 resources on his turn. Yeah, I mean, the Navigator and Tarkin would obviously bounce back to his hand, but he could certainly play Executor and just do 3 damage real quick. So yeah, I don't really want that thing to bounce if I can help it. And it looks like he's sending in the Gladiator and the Executor.
Yep, because that has enough damage. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, I'm going to use the Children of the Force to look at the top card, even though I don't have a way to get into play. I guess I probably did that just to know what I was going to get.
Yeah.
Now, what I could do, I might have asked him if he was using Tarkin before he did anything. I'm going to say what I could do is if he didn't use Tarkin, because I don't see he'd have to use Tarkin's own resource, is if I want to try to save Last Warrior, I could put the Guardian in the way and shield the objective, and that would keep him from blowing it up. Because the most he could get then would be 5 with unopposed, but he'd need 6 with the shield on it.
Yeah.
Of course, if he uses Tarkin, I'm going to have a free board to swing at. So.
Well, if he would use Tarkin, he should have done it before he declared the attackers. So
Yeah.
I would say he's not doing it.
Right, so he actually, I'm letting it go. He put 2 cards in. I think he just dumped some cards, which is a little surprising to me. I would think you might want to keep him on defense.
It depends if he's going to consider putting Tarkin in the way.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's a good point. If you know you're not going to defend, you might as well dump. Yeah. I think he's asking me here because he's trying to figure out the tactic situation and that Kanan can take a focus token off anything like Mahdi. Right. Unlike Hera, who can only take it off Spectre units.
Yeah, so whatever he puts that focus token on is pretty irrelevant.
Right.
You want to do it to Kanan just so Tarkin can take Force.
Right, so he's going to blow up Last Warrior, and technically the dial should go to 7. And I wonder if we'll realize that we hadn't moved it up the first time, because it looks like we just moved it to 6.
Yeah, I think you're 1 off.
Yeah. And after that ends, at the end of the Force phase, or maybe I did it then, I thought he was committing Tarkin. I used Slicing In. Now, I don't know if he knew I had freeholders, but the fact he just dumped cards means it's going to be harder for me to play him. And if that's the case, it makes sense why he played him. He might have known. I think I actually told him when we started the tournament. I made some comment about I had freeholders in there. I just flipped up a spark. Let's see if I can do something here, Derek. And so the dial is off. It should be 7, not 6. And I looked at children. So we'll see if this, hopefully that won't make a difference. I don't know how we didn't catch that before. We caught that he blew up a second objective and moved it up twice. So.
Yeah. You just didn't do it the initial time.
Yeah, I see a Yoda. I see Zeb. Huh. So I got a couple decent units. I know I discarded that bow rifle at the very beginning of the game. The problem is I couldn't get the bow rifle on Zeb right now. It would
Well,
take two
also
turns to do it.
so you have to have more enhancements for Zeb to get targeted strike, right?
Yep. So
And that's not looking likely. Because he's got 3 of them over there already. So even with, you're going to have to, you only got 1, so you'd have to play 3 more to give Zeb targeted strike.
right. And I just played a Children of the Force. I've already looked at the top card of my deck, so I'm not sure that's going to help, other than it's a body out there. It's like a Attack of the Chuds right now in Kanan. And I'm playing Yoda and using Kanan. Oh, I have a feeling I see what might be coming the way I just played that. I wonder if I have a well-equipped. And I might be getting ready to give Kanan a bow rifle. All he's got to block with is Tarkin. Does he really want to put Tarkin in the way of Yoda, who should have 7 guns, but
Yeah, well, Tarkin could just as easily blank Yoda, but it's irrelevant either way.
right, if he blanks Yoda, Yoda will still focus him. Because he'd have to use Tarkin's resource, so then there'd be another one coming.
Problem is, you still only got 1 tactic set there. You need to keep Yoda on defense to deal with the Executor, and if the Executor is coming through, you can bet Yoda's going to be blanked.
Right, right. I guess if I have another Kanan's concentration, it wouldn't be awful. And I am not attacking. I just took balance back. So dial should technically go up to 8 here. And I think we just did that. So maybe we remembered we missed one. It looks like I flipped a 2 instead of 1. That's funny.
Huh.
It's like we must have innately knew something was wrong. So that is the correct dial now. It should be at 8. Now Yoda could take down that Executor potentially.
Only if Tarkin lets him.
Well, yeah, but at least I could get a focus on him if I could win edge.
Yeah, now he's got tons of resources again.
Yeah, and I'm probably just hoping he doesn't have anything big to play. It looks like he has another Executor in his hand. Oh, wow.
He's actually only 1 resource short of being able to play the Death Star.
Yeah,
and in fact, he could play it right now.
Yeah.
Or next turn, assuming he still has all those resources available.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got one in his hand. Can't tell. So he's got 5 on the Force with Tarkin and the Gladiator. I've got 6 with Yoda and the Guardian. Technically, if I free up Kanan, I would have 9 total. If I have a Kanan's concentration, I can free up Kanan. Huh. This is going to be pretty interesting here, Derek. So the dial's right now at 8. If he blows up 2, he wins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's got quite enough blast on the board to do that now.
No, but even if he sends in the Executor and gets it killed, he'll be able to drop the other one for 3 damage.
Right.
And then, he's only missing 4 between 2 objectives.
Right, right.
So, assuming he gets to swing with that Executor.
He's still got a lot of resources to play with, though, said. But I just saw that he definitely has that other version, the other Executor in his hand, which isn't going to help. Almost looks like he may have another control room or something in there. What is he doing? He's using it. He must be playing a ship because he just used the Death Star Engineer. He's got another Gladiator or something. Yep, there's another Gladiator. And he's still got 6 resources. Now, what he could use in his deck is Devastator. If he got that sucker out, he could blow up too.
Well, with the Devastator out, you can increase the dial.
Oh, that's right. He'd
more.
only need to blow up 1.
Yeah.
Oh, we just put the dial back to 7, and it should have been at 8.
Well, now it wouldn't help.
No, it wouldn't
now
help.
the Devastator wouldn't cut it.
Yeah, but it should be at 8, so I apologize to Jay that somehow we both had the dial wrong while we were playing this game. So we're gonna commentate like it's supposed to be, and he just sacked the engineer to free up the other gladiator. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cheap blast, but I don't know. He's still got resources. He's gonna play something else? Is that right?
Well,
Fear in his hand?
It's Edge 2 also. I mean, he can send in the 2 gladiators and the executor and probably almost guarantee the winning of the Edge. And then he's got 2 tactics. He's got 5 blast.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't kill you this turn, you haven't done hardly anything to him.
Right.
He doesn't really need to fear a counterattack at this point.
Now I've gotten a whopping 2 damage in so far on that very first turn when I sent the Children of the Force in just to see if I could get him to block with the gladiator and have it locked down, and he let it go.
Yeah, and next turn you're only going to have 5 resources, 7 with Kanan.
Right.
So 2 of them would have to go to paying for Tarkin Doctrine. So, like, the only way you're going to win next turn is if you can play enough blast with 5 resources and then get 3 attacks through.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking that's likely. So if I'm him, I might just go with those 3 and take out Spark.
Mm-hmm.
And leave Tarkin back there. Maybe you blank Yoda.
Yeah, you got the resources to do it this time.
Yeah. If he's got anything else to play, I'd probably play it. A Moment of Triumph would be pretty good too right now.
Yeah. Well, for him, not for me, but
yeah. So I'm thinking I would blank Yoda and I would send in those 3 at Spark.
Yeah, if he had Moment of Triumph, I think he would have played it already. But maybe I'm wrong. It just seems like he'd just play it almost right away.
Well, it depends if you had triggered your Spark yet or not.
Oh, wait, he's playing something else. It looks like he's playing. Oh, Rear Admiral Chiranu. So if it.
I always forget what he does.
I think is he the one that if you have an objective that has 3 or more damage on it, it's treated as like its text is blank?
I think so.
Yeah, because Moon Blockade is the one that if you have an objective in a victory pile, another copy is basically blank.
Yeah.
So I think he just put out another body there, basically, is what happened. And he is going after Spark. With looks like everybody but Tarkin and Chiranu, maybe? The way he's kind of pushed things forward. And I'm probably asking him, did he want to blank something with Tarkin? Because I don't think he did it yet. All right, he's backing up. Maybe he's rethinking this. Because really, the last thing he did was deploy the Chiranu. So, yeah, this was a really intense game, Derek. I just remember that. I mean, even though he is clobbering me, I was just trying to figure out if there was any way I could stay alive and not get blown out. But as I said, we're sitting here both on 12 points, tied for first. Whoever wins this game is going to win the tournament. If we happen to go to time, then it would come down to strength of schedule. We'd both be tied on 13. And then who knows what happens. I don't remember who played who. You know, like who he had played at that point. I knew who I had played, but it wouldn't have surprised me if he might have had a slightly better strength of schedule at this point. And what am I doing? Oh, I'm throwing the Children of the Force in the way. I guess to try to make him have to play stuff because of the to try to stop the tactics. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Well, it
Not really
depends on
gonna.
what you got in your hand. You can still siphon a lot of stuff out of his hand potentially.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
much though. Is he still going with all four of those?
Oh, I guess I asked him about the. Does he want to use? I think he blanked the Guardian there, if I remembered right. Which I'm like, okay. Yeah, we kind of backed up there, even though he had put in that card and edge. A little bit of sloppy play on our parts here. So, but Jay and I played before. It was a little more casual, like, yeah, go ahead. Stuff like that. I think at this point I figured he was just going to clobber me anyway. Did it really matter? So, he's already blown up 2 objectives. Yeah, he's counting up his blast. And I might have said something about when he did that. I might have, if he hadn't done that, I might have actually thrown the Guardian to get the shield. But then when he did that, I decided not to. A Seeds would be really good right now, too. A Seeds could lock down one of those gladiators, and I put 2 cards in.
Well, if all four of those guys are in there, you could also seeds Tarkin, and then he can't blank on his turn because he
Right.
spent his resources.
All right, so he put his whole edge in, and I just put 2 in. I think he only had like 3, but I remember thinking Jay made a. I thought he made a kind of a mistake there. He could have easily passed the first time because he had
Yeah,
edge
there's
too. Yeah, he's gonna blow up Spark. Nadal's gonna get a 10, although it really should be 11.
yeah,
But even after that, even if he just wanted to make sure he could get something off, he could have put in the first edge card, and the other 2 he could have just waited on to see if
yeah,
he
because
needed
of the
them.
gladiators.
Right. I think he almost forgot about that part of the gladiators. He remembered, I don't know if he forgot the edge part or forgot he could put things in, or he just was trying to make sure he won. I'm not sure. So he did focus Yoda, and I guess he's thinking on his second tactics here, knowing that the only way he could really lock, well, he actually can't even lock down Yoda unless he would blank Kanan or something. I think that's what we were talking about here, that Kanan could free off something on Yoda. So if he used Tarkin to blank Yoda later, he'd need extra tactics. Like he'd need 3 tactics on Yoda to avoid it. Because he can't just even blank the elite. So I don't know where he's putting that other one. I would think he put it. I don't know where you put it then. It probably doesn't matter unless you're attacking again. And what I'm saying about him blanking Yoda, I mean when it goes to my turn. I'm pretty sure he had used Tarkin to blank the Guardian actually, if I remember right. Yeah, this is where I'm explaining about how unless he got 3 tactics on something, which he'd have to use Tarkin for, there'd be no way that he could have stopped me clearing off Yoda and Kanan. At least one of them would free up, probably both. And he's still thinking on that tactics area. Put on the Guardian. So he has just got Tarkin left and Chinero. The dial should be at 11. It's incorrect. It's saying 10. So he's blown up 3 objectives. I've done 2 damage. He's got balance back. And things are looking kind of bleak for me here, Derek. So I've got, what do we say? We're going to have 5 resources or something. And I just slipped up false report. Oh, wow. Now, for people, if you haven't played false report in a while, it's actually optional. You do not have to bounce everything. And as Derek mentioned before, if I bounce everything, Executor is just going to drop and do 3 immediately. And I think I realized that, like we talked before, and chose not to trigger false report. It'd been one thing if I had had a couple like freeholders in my hand or something, but I didn't have any freeholders in my hand. So
no.
And that also may have been why he was dumping cards. Maybe he wanted to make sure at that point he knew I would have had freeholders potentially. That he was just getting as many cards out of his hands as he could. And I am trying to use Spark and did not hit. Or I used Children actually. I think I used the Children of the Force there, not Spark. All right. So I have to see what I can do. I'm gonna. So I remember this, pretty well here. So I actually start with a resource, just because I had it. But I was looking at my hand, and I actually, as crazy as it's going to be, I'm playing Zeb now, and I'm going to be able to play Zeb and leave the smuggler resource open to potentially hit the bow rifle. And at this point, I'm sitting there with a well-equipped and 2 targets of opportunity in my hand, thinking I might actually have a way that I could win. As crazy as that might be looking in from the outside, but I was trying to figure out how to account for Tarkin doctrines. And I was pretty sure I could do it if I didn't have to pay a Tarkin doctrine. But I was trying to figure out, could I do it if I had to actually focus Kanan twice to get around the Tarkin doctrine? So it was a pretty interesting scenario I was in here, Derek, to say the least. And I actually told Jay this. So the dial, I said, it should technically be 11. It's at 10. I told Jay, I said, well, look, here's what we're going to do. I know we're running close to, I think at this point we may have had like 10 minutes left in the round. I said, I really need to think. I actually think there might be a way I can do this. And he kind of had this, I think he was a little surprised when I said that to him. He said, okay. I said, so what I agreed to do, or what I told him was, I said, you're going to be able to win on your next turn anyway. If it looks like we're going to go to time, and I can't win, I'm going to just concede because I know you would technically win. Just let me see if I can work this out here. So when I'm sitting there for everybody watching, trying to figure out if there's a way for me to potentially do this. I've got a bow rifle and discard. I've got well equipped in my hand. I've got 2 targets of opportunity. Jay has no cards in his hand, so I'm going to be able to win edge. But I've got to find a way that I can potentially blow up all 3 objectives with that. But it just felt like with all that potential for blast, because I'm sitting there thinking, I get the bow rifle on Zeb and he double strikes. If they're both unopposed, he's getting 4 blasts total out of him twice. That was 8. Yoda gave me a 10. 2 more with Yoda. 2 more potentially with the Children of the Force. That's 12. Well, I guess technically 11 with the unopposed and 2 targets. It's like just enough to do it. If I have to focus Kanan.
How do you get around the Tarkin tax? As long as he just says, okay, pay. Although you do have, if you can use Kanan to pay for the Tarkin tax.
Right, that's what I was trying to figure out was, could I use Kanan, could I do it if I had to use Kanan's thing? And at some point I finally realized that theoretically I had enough blast on the board. Or I was going to be able to get enough, like I said. So I'm figuring I need 10 blast without Kanan. And then 3 unopposed, obviously. So what I have here is Yoda has 1. Zeb could potentially strike for 6, right? With the 2 with the bow rifles, right? And the Children has 1, and I have the 2 targets. And I'm going to be able to potentially strike with Zeb twice. So, as I said, I'm sitting here really trying to work this out of how I could potentially do it. So, and one of the trickiest things for me was actually, I know whatever I do, I have to throw Zeb in the first attack. But I also have to be able to kill Tarkin and Shinnaru to get the unopposed. So, I said, and I've got these 2 target of opportunities in my hand. So I know Jay had to been thinking, there's really no way he can do this, right? How can I get 13 damage with what I have on the board? So, The other thing I had to remember was doing the well-equipped part right. Like I missed in the first game, I forgot to put the bow rifle on before the edge battle. But I also can't put the bow rifle on until after conflict starts because then Tarkin could potentially blank the bow rifle and get rid of it. So that would do me no good. So there's all these factors I'm trying to account for here. But like I said, so if we count it again, I've got 1, 6, and 8. Basically 1 with Yoda, 6 potentially with Zeb if he stumble strikes. 1 with the Children of the Force gives me 8. 2 targets gives me 10. 3 more unopposed gives me the 13 that I would need.
So I think you send Zeb and Yoda at one of the top objective, for example, because Yoda's got your tactics, and Zeb has targeted strike.
Right, and the other, Zeb doesn't have targeted strike yet, but he's gonna get it when I get the bow rifle.
You only have you have 2 enhancements in play right now.
Right, and he has 2. So I won't.
No, he has 3.
No, one of those is the fleet navigator.
Oh, is that the fleet navigator?
Yeah,
okay.
One of them is the fleet navigator. So right now we're even in enhancements.
Yeah, because Yoda focuses Tarkin, Zeb kills the other one.
Right. Yep.
Then you've got your first objective. Your next one, you could send the Guardian at the bottom objective and use 2 targets and unopposed and well equipped to free up Zeb, and then send Zeb and the children at the last objective.
Yeah. There was a couple ways I could do this. It just took me forever to realize that I didn't need to have Kanan's blast. That was I kept thinking, can I do this without having to use Kanan? Because like I said, it was obvious I could do it if I didn't have to pay the Tarkin tax and using Kanan's thing. So I actually ended up sending Zeb and Yoda, I think after Endor entrapment. Yeah. And what kind of surprised me here, and maybe it was because he was thinking I didn't have enough blast to do it, or he didn't want to put stuff in the way, or he wasn't thinking about the bow rifle with the targeted strike. I'm pretty sure Jay didn't even make me pay the Tarkin tax on the first attack.
Yeah, well, if you even have a target in your hand, you still have enough to blow it up, and then he can't even use the Tarkin tax once there's an objective gone.
Exactly.
So he should have made you pay it.
Right. He should have made
mattered, but he should have.
Right. He probably should have made me pay it, and he didn't. He let it go. He started to let it go, but then I said, "All right, hold on, before Edge." Here, I'm doing it the right way here. I'm getting the bow rifle. Maybe I did that after Edge before I struck. All right, now I'm explaining how now I've actually got more enhancements than him. And I might have actually shot Tarkin then because he had no cards to stop the extra gun. So I shot Tarkin because Zeb had 3 guns and he couldn't stop it. And then I focused Chinnaru. And I think Jay made a little bit of a mistake, sort of a bit of mistakes, and then that blows it up. That's my first objective, and I'm sure I focused Chinnaru because I think he forgot that he could only trigger Tarkin Doctrine even if he had all 3 objectives out. Because when I went to do the next attack, I'm pretty sure he said something about he'd use Tarkin Doctrine, and I said, "Well, you can't now." Not that it would have mattered. Like I said, at that point I realized it didn't really matter. And what I did was I sent that in, and I told him about the target. Oh, I forgot to put all my cards out. The target, the well-equipped. So I send the Children of the Force in, played the target with the well-equipped, blew up the one Tarkin Doctrine, and then Zeb and Kanan, I didn't even need to play the other target, blew up the last objective because he didn't focus Kanan. And I ended up blowing up all 3 objectives on that last turn. I'm glad the dial being wrong didn't really matter. I mean, it should have been 11, but I knew I needed to win that turn. And Jay was kind of patient with me while I said I was trying to figure out if I could do it. And that was just crazy there, Derek. So I pulled that one out of nowhere to win the game and then win the tournament. Everybody's kind of watching us because we were still there at the end. And Jay's like, maybe I got too aggressive blowing that thing up, but I figured I wanted to put the pressure on you. And it was
I don't
A
know
good
that
game.
I don't know that I would have been would have done anything different because it didn't look like you had any chance of blowing up 3 objectives in one turn
No,
before you put Zeb on the table.
no.
So
And then the false report flipping up, I think that's what I was telling Jay. The only thing that really helped me with was it gave me another smuggler resource because it
mm,
let me play Zeb and the bow rifle. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
yeah,
So the fact he got aggressive and the fact I flipped up false report or the other last warrior there basically won me that game and then the tournament. So Jay played great. I mean, there was a couple mistakes there, but I mean, when it was definitely I was feeling the pressure. I think he was feeling the pressure at that point. It was so close, so back and forth. But like you said, he probably thought he was in good shape at that point. How am I going to get 13 damage in? But as we've seen before, like we saw at Worlds, that's what those spark decks can do. And I wasn't even sparking things in there. I just had good
no.
units. I mean,
Well, it was having a 3 blast unit with targeted strike and 3 guns that swung twice.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
doesn't hurt.
that's that's a bit of an important thing to have to deal with.
Right.
So
But I guess the point is that just kind of helps prove that you can win these games even without hitting the spark, cheating stuff in with spark. I mean, he blew up my sparks both times I had him out there pretty quickly, and I didn't hit anything either time either. And I
well,
still
yeah,
was
I
able to
mean,
win.
I don't think you even played a card from Harris set that whole game.
No, I didn't. Just the resource. I did have the objectives out, which helped because they generated 2 resources, and that certainly helped me
Right,
get
but
some things
I
out. But
mean,
yeah,
most of her stuff is pretty brutal. All
yeah,
like every card in that set is really good.
yep. I didn't play Ghost. I didn't play Phantom. I didn't play her. I didn't play the mission. Maybe I played. I don't know. Maybe it was that resource, the hidden outpost. I don't know, but yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe I played a hidden outpost. But yeah, that was a crazy game. So I was very fortunate to win that game and win the tournament. Got my Falcon playmat that went to the whole top 4. Got my little Falcon plaque since I won. Got my regional bye depending on whenever the regionals where they are and if I can go. But if they're close enough, I
Mm.
guess I'll try to go since I have the bye. Um,
As
you
long
know,
as you don't have to fly, right?
right, exactly. As long as I don't have to fly because I don't fly. Yoda is grounded on Dagobah, so I don't go anywhere. But yeah, so congrats to Jay. I mean, he came in second there. Pants YG actually ended up sweeping his last round and came in third, but Jay beat him on straight the schedule. So they both had 12 points and I had 15. But as a good tournament, it was fun and I said Jay played great. He said that was the closest he ever even came to winning a tournament. I felt a little bad after when he told me that after I won. I'm like, oh man, like I would have been happy
Mm.
if he had won since he had never won before, but. I think he was happy to get some of the other stuff. So you got any final thoughts about that game or the tournament since we just kind of went through all my games? Or I lost that first game against Pants YG and then bounced back with 5 straight and kind of pulled it
Yeah.
out. So
Well, like with that last game, I didn't really see any big mistakes or anything played. I think both of you guys played did pretty much what you should have done each turn.
yeah,
So you were fortunate enough to have those targets and everything to give you the enough blast to win there at the end too.
yeah,
So
yeah. It was a crazy way to win the game and win the tournament. So I want to just give a shout out to everybody who played it, the tournament, Gamers Armory, and you know certainly my opponents, Pants YG, Ben in the first round, and then Anthony, the younger kid who came with his dad in the second round. That was fun to play him. And then certainly Jay InbredJed at the last round. We've played before in tournaments. That was a good way to end it. Thanks to Scott Blanton, who's the owner of Gamers Armory, for hosting it and still trying to keep the faith and hosting some of these tournaments for the LCG, even though we know there's not quite as many people playing more, but we had 6. That wasn't awful. That was actually the same amount we had the regional, so I guess all things considered, that wasn't too bad there. And Gamers Army, just a fun story to go out to. Everybody's just nice out there and friendly. And thanks as always for joining me for commentary, Derek. Appreciate it. We've been doing this for a little over a year, so it's certainly they're a good part of the team.
I think it was last April that you first started this, and I
Yeah.
got in on it pretty quick.
Yeah, so it's good. So thanks to everybody who's been out there watching Yoda's Hut over the last year or so. We're going to keep bringing you content as long as we can. We hope you enjoyed watching the Gamers Armory Store Championship from, about last week, the beginning of June. And thanks as always for joining me for commentary, Derek. Appreciate it.
Yep, anytime.